Live from the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Monday, April 8th. In tonight's newscast, we'll discuss earthquake tremors felt here in Centre County, as well as updates to changes in local police department leadership.
We'll also have updates on the abortion ban in Florida, along with entertainment and sports. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Morgan Suppes.
And I'm Cameron Lobley. You felt some shaking beneath your feet recently? Well, chances are you're not the only one. A 4.8 magnitude earthquake was recorded Friday morning out of Hunterdon County, New Jersey. Tremors were felt throughout the Northeast, including here in Centre County. The main quake was followed by aftershocks throughout the rest of the day that continued to be felt in neighboring counties. The earthquake temporarily shut down public transport services, but reportedly did not cause any major damage or injuries. The last time Centre County felt an earthquake was back in 2019 after a 3.4 magnitude quake hit Juniata County.
A plasma donation center is closing its doors downtown. BioLife Plasma Services is set to be torn down for construction of a condominium hotel. The plasma center will still be accepting donations until May 31st. It will be fully closed on June 1st. BioLife currently has no plans for opening a new location in State College. If you still want to donate plasma in State College, you can go to CSL Plasma in the Northland Center.
Centre County officials recently took steps that could lead to more outdoor recreational space at a local jail. Last week, the Centre County Board of Commissioners voted to issue a request for qualifications to study if Centre County Correctional Facility will be eligible for an outdoor recreational area. This comes after community advocates called on county officials to provide outdoor opportunities for inmates at the facility. Currently, inmates are only able to be outdoors if they are on work release. The study will help determine the cost of these renovations, construction plans, and how much staffing the outdoor additions would need.
The Bellefonte Police Department has appointed an interim police chief while beginning the potentially lengthy process of rebuilding the force. Detective Bill Whitmire was appointed as chief after former longtime Chief Sean Weaver suddenly resigned last Monday. Whitmire was hired in 2016, making him one of the newest officers in the department. He was named interim chief after 3 of his fellow officers resigned in the past 2 months. At least one of those officers was facing termination if he did not voluntarily leave. Council will not say why the officers left. Despite the issues, Bellefonte says it's not considering disbanding the police department in favor of police coverage. That's all for your local news update. After the break, Bronwyn Leiber has the latest in the world of sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Bronwyn Leiber with your sports update. Just yesterday, Penn State baseball made history as not only completed their first sweep over Northwestern since 2016, but they smashed their largest margin of victory over the Wildcats that was previously set back in 2011. The Nittany Lions scored at least 3 runs in 4 of their first 6 innings, including 2 home runs, one of which was a grand slam. This, among other plays, led the Nittany Lions to a historic 15-1 victory as the mercy rule was implemented, ending the game after the top of the 7th inning. In the series overall, they managed 42 hits, including 9 doubles, 3 triples, 7 homers, and 35 runs in 25 innings. They continue at home tomorrow night as they take on Lehigh for Country Night and Dollar Dog Night. While baseball continues, women's gymnastics came to an end at regionals as it took place in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where they competed against Ohio State, Alabama, and Oklahoma. The team recorded a score of 197.050, giving the Nittany Lions their 6th highest team score in school history, but unfortunately not enough to punch them a ticket onward. Penn State had its best 2 rotations, ending the day as they had an outstanding 49.375 on bars and 49.300 on beam. The Nittany Lions bars total not only set yet another regional school record, but tied the 4th best total on the apparatus in program history. Yesterday wrapped up the women's NCAA tournament as the championship between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the South Carolina Gamecocks peaked at 17 million views. The number one versus the other number one seed matchup was back and forth with a 3-point game at half. Despite Caitlin Clark totaling 30 points, the difference in the end came up from a roster depth as South Carolina outscored the Hawkeyes 37-0 on bench points. Clark and her teammates were worn down as South Carolina finished the game on a 7-0 run, holding Iowa scoreless over the final 4 minutes and 12 seconds. The game ended with a score of 87-75. The men's championship will take place tonight with number one UConn facing off against number one Purdue, tipping off at 9:20 p.m. That's all for your sports update. After the break, Alicia Ernst has the latest in all of the world of entertainment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Alicia Ernst with your entertainment update. Last week, Penn State was among the 28 schools featured in a limited edition merch drop designed by rapper and producer Travis Scott. The collection was produced alongside Fanatics, Lids, and Mitchell & Ness. The collection is titled Jack Goes Back to College after his pseudonym Cactus Jack. 7 pieces featuring Scott's artwork merged with Penn State logos became available at the campus bookstore only. Even before the official release, students had sales moving quickly. Many buyers lined up outside of the hub early in the morning, with some even going so far as to camp out the night before. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and several events are planned throughout the month to recognize the issue. Our Jackson Tortone is live in the studio now with more details on a recent event. Jackson?
Thanks, Alicia. I made my way to the front steps of Old Main in order to attend an annual event of extreme importance here at Penn State. Let's take a look. The Old Main Steps became the center stage for Lambda Theta Alpha on Thursday evening. The Latin-based sorority served as the primary host of the annual Take Back the Night event that occurs on the Penn State campus. The purpose of the annual gathering is to spread awareness about and to provide healing for victims of sexual assault as well as domestic violence. Other on and off campus organizations served as co-hosts of the Take Back the Night event, including Center Safe and the Gender Equity Center. Gender Equity Center Director Yvette Wilson was amongst the first to speak at the event, giving resources for students in need of help. Wilson also described the goals and other purposes of the Gender Equity Center. Amongst the other notable speakers was Center Safe Executive Director Jennifer Penkick, who also described the purpose and goals of her organization as well as the importance of community when tackling the issues of sexual assault and domestic violence. The sense of community at the Take Back the Night event was especially felt when State College Mayor Ezra Naines spoke directly to the crowd in solidarity for the cause. Following the initial speakers, the crowd began the procession across campus, in which they stood together to address and confront the issues that they have worked so diligently to solve. For PSN News, I'm Jackson Tortone. The event moved to the Petit and Maternal Library, followed by traveling across multiple different locations on the Penn State campus. Back to you, Alicia.
Thanks, Jackson. Penn State students are already excited for country music star Luke Combs to take on Beaver Stadium later this month, marking the venue's second ever major concert. However, fans driving to the event can expect to pay a steep price for parking tickets. Spots in the area of the venue can be purchased ahead of time for $60 to $100, but those prices will uptake on show day by $20 each. Concert goers can save some money by parking further away at East, Eisenhower, Hub, Nittany, or West decks. Moving on to national entertainment news, Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire has cleared its competitors and maintained the top spot at the box office for the second week in a row. The MonsterVerse mashup surpassed expectations, rolling in $80 million during its opening week and over $361 million worldwide in 2 weeks. It could outperform the studio's highest-grossing monster film, the original 2014 Godzilla. Another primate-themed movie released last month, Monkey Man, is currently holding the #2 box office spot, followed by Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and horror film The First Omen. Despite all the new releases, Godzilla x Kong is still making the biggest impact on moviegoers. That's all for your entertainment update. Coming up next, interview anchor Audrey Keller will be speaking with McKenna Yunt, the president of the Penn State Coffee Club. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Audrey Keller, and joining me tonight is McKenna Yunt, the president of the Coffee Club here at Penn State. Thank you so much for coming in tonight, McKenna.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so can you please give us an elevator pitch on the Coffee Club? So say we're getting into the elevator now.
5th floor, please.
Okay, absolutely.
So basically, Coffee Club, it's a club for anyone who's at all interested in coffee, and we're trying to make coffee accessible and welcoming, and also talk about like the ethics of coffee, like much further than just Starbucks. So we set up every meeting basically with coffee for everyone who attends, and then we give a short little 15-minute presentation that ranges in topics from cafe culture to coffee sustainability to water chemistry when brewing, and teach our Coffee Club members how to brew coffee as well. And then the rest of the time is kind of a time for them to just hang out, talk to other people who also love coffee, and make friends that way.
What was your last meeting's agenda?
So the last meeting that we had was actually an espresso night. The club has an espresso machine, and we brought in a employee from Rothrock Coffee that's here locally to teach us how to do latte art. So we had like different stations set up where members could come over and learn how to froth milk and pour latte art.
Oh my God, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So would you say that this club is for like coffee connoisseurs or just like the average Joe who wants a cup of Joe?
It's for anyone, really. The whole goal is to educate people about like what we call third wave coffee, which goes further than just coffee for coffee, like drinking and like caffeine and all of that. It's coffee for coffee's sake and where it comes from and who grows it and the art of it, I guess. And like you can have absolutely no coffee background before joining Coffee Club, and like that's the point of Coffee Club. We want to bring that to Penn State students.
But now that you have such an informed background, do you have a go-to coffee order?
Oh, I do. I love a lavender oat milk latte, hot, or any espresso. I'm addicted to espresso. Put any coffee in front of me, and I will love it.
Are you Dunkin', Starbucks, downtown, homemade?
Downtown or homemade. I've never really been a huge Dunkin' or Starbucks fan, but recently I've been loving Elixir coffee, and then when the farmers market rolls around, which I think is this week, Edu coffee is another big favorite.
Okay, good to know. I'll check them out. And I wanted to know, is there a tea club?
There is actually a tea club. My old roommate was the president of tea club previously.
Oh, so like Clash.
There used to be a clash, but when we lived together, we bridged that gap and brought the clubs together again. So there still is a tea club, and we've been partnering with them a lot. We recently had a tea house takeover where we sold drinks through tea house, and like just anyone could come and get them. And so it was really cool to do that, and we've been working with them a lot recently. So.
Oh, that's so cool. You see, I was gonna suggest a roast.
I think we like them too much at this point. But previously, we used to be like a sect of tea club that split off, and I think like 2016 or so. And then those years leading up to COVID, I guess it was a little bit of a rocky relationship. But we've since mended those bumps.
You've brewed them and mixed. I'm gonna stop trying to make coffee puns because I don't think they're gonna land. But why did you join Coffee Club initially?
So I joined Coffee Club when I was a freshman. It was the COVID year, so I was stuck in my dorm with nothing to do. And Coffee Club was one of the only clubs that was still relatively frequently meeting. And they did a really good job of making it accessible even through the virtualness. So I would go and meet the previous president in the hub, get a little Ziploc baggie of coffee from him, and then brew it in my dorm room with my like Keurig. And that's how I got into Coffee Club. And then since then, my sophomore year, I ended up being president.
Your sophomore year, so right away.
Yeah, so he stayed another semester but wanted to pass the torch and pass it to someone young. So he passed it to me and trained me for that first semester of my sophomore year. And then since then, I've been president until last week. New president, Riley McKean, she'll be taking over next year.
And so what do your duties, or what will her duties now entail as Coffee Club president? What does that look like?
Yeah, so typically president runs most of the meetings, although I welcome anyone who wants to present something. And basically it's a lot of delegation with running executive board meetings, figuring out what kind of topics we want to do, who we want to talk to, and see if we have guest speakers come in and talk to us. Looking for coffee to serve at every meeting, like that's a huge one. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think she'll do a really good job.
Do you try to have a different coffee served at every meeting?
Yeah, we do. We typically try to give a coffee that relates to the topic that we're talking about. So like if we're doing a coffee growing region in focus as a meeting, for example, we try and get a coffee specifically from that region, or we do multiple coffees for some meetings where we can do a cupping, which is where you taste the coffees and try and compare and contrast them to try and get the members more involved in a hands-on activity.
That's so interesting. And how could someone join Coffee Club?
They can join by just showing up to the hub at 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays. We're in Hub 004. It's like the big presidential office space suite, mindfulness suite. And yeah, we meet every Thursday and always have something fun going on. So
Nice, and there's no pressure to, you can just always show up, join the club.
yeah, we do ask for members to pay dues, but we give them like a few meeting trials just to make sure. And what we use the dues for is to pay for coffee, so we can make sure we have coffee at every meeting. So think of it as paying for like 1 or 2 drinks at Starbucks, and you're set for the rest of the year.
Oh my God, perfect. So, and then kind of on theme, you're a food science major.
Yeah.
Do you have any, and you're graduating this semester, do you have any post-grad plans nailed down? Or?
I do. I'm actually staying at Penn State. I'm going to do a PhD in food science in the Kovac lab here.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. And what made you choose Penn State, and what made you continue to want to be here?
Yeah, my whole family is a Penn State family, and so I guess I was kind of like destined at birth. I tried hard to like not follow in the footsteps, but it felt homey, I guess, and I liked it here. And I love the connections that I have made since being here. So like I really wanted to stay and like still be around the people that I have found as like my second home.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming here,
of
McKenna,
course.
and for telling us about your experiences with the Coffee Club. Now, stick around, because coming up next, Cameron and Morgan will have the latest news from across the nation.
President Biden recently visited Maryland following a bridge collapse in Baltimore. Back in March, a container ship in a Baltimore shipping channel lost power and crashed into a support beam underneath the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The collapse led to the death of 6 workers and the injury of 2 others. During his visit, the president met with Coast Guard and Army Corps of Engineer representatives who are working on assessing the damages in the water. He also met with local police who helped avert further damages by blocking off traffic to the bridge before the collapse.
The Florida Supreme Court upheld the state's 15-week abortion ban, but voters will soon have a say. The court ruled 6-1 to uphold the state's abortion ban, which could lead to a ban after 6 weeks of pregnancy. But in a separate 4-3 ruling, the court allowed a ballot measure, which means voters can decide if abortion rights should be added to the state's constitution. Since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, voters in every state with an abortion-related ballot measure have favored the abortion rights side. The proposed constitutional amendment will be on the November ballot.
House Democrats recently proposed a bill to name a federal prison after former President Donald Trump. The bill would change the name of Florida's Miami Federal Correctional Institution to the Donald J. Trump Federal Correctional Institution. Trump is currently facing multiple federal criminal charges in Florida for allegedly mishandling sensitive government information. This bill comes as a counter to another bill proposed earlier this month by House Republicans. That bill proposed renaming Washington Dulles International Airport after the former president.
This afternoon was the 2024 total solar eclipse. 6 inmates who sued New York's corrections office over a decision to lock down prisoners during the solar eclipse were able to watch it after all. The men came to an agreement with the Woodbourne Correctional Facility in upstate New York. They were allowed to watch the eclipse due to their religious beliefs. The 6 men included a Baptist, a Muslim, a Seventh-day Adventist, 2 practitioners of Santeria, and an atheist. The Corrections Department distributed solar eclipse safety glasses to all of the inmates. That concludes our show tonight at PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSN News.
Have a good night and stay safe, Penn State.